A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Chapter 5. The end of it. Yes! And the bedpost was his own. The bed was his own. The room was his own. Best and happiest of all, the time before him was his own, and he could make the best of it. I will live in the past, the present and the future, Scrooge repeated as he got out of bed. I don't know what to do. I'm as happy as an angel. I don't know what day of the month it is. I don't know how long I've been among the spirits. He ran to the window, opened it, and put out his head. Hello? Hello there? He could hear the church bells ringing several streets away. What's today? Cried Scrooge, calling downward to a boy in Sunday clothes. Eh? Returned the boy, confused. What day is it, my fine fellow? Today? Replied the boy. Why, Christmas Day. It's Christmas Day, said Scrooge to himself. I haven't missed it. The spirits have done it all in one night. They can do anything they like, of course they can. Hello, my fine fellow. Do you know the poulterers at the corners? I sure do. Excellent boy. And do you know whether they've sold the big turkey that was hanging up there? What, the one as big as me? Returned the boy. It's still hanging there now. Is it? Said Scrooge. Go and buy it. I'm in earnest. Go and buy it and come back with the delivery man, and I'll give you a shilling for it. Come back with the man in less than 5 minutes, and I'll give you £0.50. The boy was off like a shot. I'll send it to Bob Cratchit, whispered Scrooge cheerfully. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim. He dressed himself all in his best, and at last got out into the streets. He had not gone far when he came across 2 gentlemen who had walked into his office the day before. My dear sir, said Scrooge, how do you do? I fear I was not pleasant to you yesterday. Allow me to ask your pardon. And will you have the goodness to... And here Scrooge whispered in his ear. Lord bless me, cried the gentleman. My dear Mr. Scrooge, are you serious? I don't know what to say to such generosity. If you please, said Scrooge, not a farthing less. A great many back payments are included in it, I assure you. Scrooge then went to the Christmas service at the church and walked about the streets and watched the people hurrying to and fro and patted children on the head and questioned beggars and looked down into the kitchens of houses and up into the windows and found that everything could yield him pleasure. He had never dreamed that any walk, that anything could give him so much happiness. In the afternoon, he turned his steps towards his nephew's house. He passed the door 12 times before he had the courage to go up and knock. But he made a dash and did it. Fred, he implored, it's your Uncle Scrooge. I've come to dinner. Will you let me in, Fred? Of course, Fred let him in. It was a very hearty welcome, and they all had a wonderful party. But Scrooge was early at the office next morning. Oh, he was early there. If he could only catch Bob Cratchit coming late. And he did it. Yes, he did. Bob was full 18 minutes and a half behind his time. Scrooge sat with his door wide open that he might see him come in. Hello, growled Scrooge in his usual way. What do you mean by coming here at this time of day? I'm very sorry, sir, said Bob. I am beyond the time. I am not going to stand this sort of thing any longer, and therefore, he continued, jumping from his stool and poking Bob in the chest, and therefore I'm about to raise your salary. A Merry Christmas, Bob. Bob Cratchit was very surprised, and so were many people who found Scrooge so changed. Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. Scrooge became a better person. To Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. Scrooge became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city or town in the good old world. He had no further meetings with spirits, and lived joyfully ever afterwards, and it was always said of Scrooge that he knew how to keep Christmas well. May that be truly said of all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim would say, God bless us, everyone.